Good morning. This is the Sight for Wight news for Friday the 21st of February 2020. Tuesday the 25th of February. Laura will be at the Our Place community drop-in session at the West Wight Community Centre in Mower Place, Freshwater. Come along to say hello between 10:15 and 12 noon and enjoy a free cup of tea or coffee. The swimming group are swimming at the waterside pool in Ryde from 8 p.m. till 8:45 p.m. The pool is closed to the public whilst the group swims. There are male and female volunteers to help you get in and out of the pool, as well as lifeguards to ensure your safety. To join the swimming group, please call Sight for Wight first to notify us of your swimming ability. You need to register with the office at Millbrook House first to be able to swim with the group.
Wednesday, 26th of February. The weekly coffee morning will be held at Millbrook House from 10 a.m. till 11:30 a.m. There will also be our low vision drop-in between 10 a.m. and 11:30 a.m. This is a weekly event to allow you to view and try the low vision equipment we have at Sight for Wight without the need for an appointment.
Thursday the 27th of February. The Thursday social group are meeting at Millbrook House. The group meets from 10:30 a.m. till 2 p.m. Most Thursdays, with the help of volunteers, the group enjoy a number of activities: crosswords, catching up on the news and trivia, knitting and crochet. They are currently making pom-poms for the rug. This very friendly mixed group also love to chat and enjoy lunch together. Later in the afternoon, volunteers come in and read to the group on different topics. If you would like to join the group, then please contact us on 522 205.
Friday, 28th of February. The Striders group will be meeting for a circular walk in the Haylands area Ryde. Lunch is booked for 12:45 p.m. at the Ryde Castle. If you would like to join the Striders group, then please contact us on 522 or email members@iwsb.org.uk.
Any other news? Freshwater Library Listening Reading Group. This group will be meeting on Tuesday the 25th of February from 11 a.m. to 12 noon. Please pass this information on to anyone who is interested. If you would like more information, please call on 752 377 or email anna.britton, that's BRITTON, at iow.gov.uk. Southern Vectis visit. On March the 11th, Richard Tilsley, General Manager at Southern Vectis, will be joining us at the Wednesday coffee morning at Millbrook House to speak to us about the Southern Vectis service and to answer any questions members may have. This will be from 10 a.m. For further details, please contact us on 522 or email members@iwsb.org.uk.
Sight for Wight is holding a low vision exhibition at New Close Cricket Ground, Blackwater Road, Newport, on Saturday the 21st of March, 10:30 a.m. till 2:30 p.m. This is a free event with a large car park, disabled access and facilities, and refreshments available to purchase from the bar. Join us to meet with exhibitors and support services, including Laura Gouljar, St Mary's ECLO, Associated Optical, Dolphin Speech Software, Humanware, the Macular Society, Optelec, Professional Vision Services, Sight and Sound Technology, Touchpoint Vision and the Windermere Manor Hotels. Southern Vectis routes 2 and 3 stop just outside the venue. However, as the road is a busy main road, we are offering a shuttle minibus service to and from Newport Bus Station. This will run at set times throughout the day. Please ring 522205 for more information and to book a space.
Touch Tours. Joe Breslov is a freelance artist educator who is very passionate about making arts and heritage venues accessible for everyone. She organises Touch Tours, which are friendly and informal opportunities for visually impaired people to have a hands-on experience, whenever possible, of some of the arts and heritage exhibitions and collections in both Southampton and Portsmouth. There will be a Touch Tour at Southampton City Art Gallery on Friday the 28th of February from 10:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. These events are both free, but places do need to be booked. To book a place, call Joe Breslov on 074 432 24341.
Pre-owned equipment for sale. We've been asked to advertise on behalf of a member a pre-loved Braille Pen 12 Touch. This is a Bluetooth Braille keyboard with Braille display designed for use by individuals who are blind or have low vision. This keyboard connects to a phone, netbook, PC or tablet. It allows the user to navigate an external device with a joystick, write SMS, browse the internet, complete 6-key entry into a Braille translator, or simply type. The user can also switch between 6-dot and 8-dot Braille entries. The asking price is £100. If you're interested in purchasing this item or require more information, please call 522205 and ask for Laura. Accessible Activities and Services Day will be held at West Wight Sports and Community Centre on Saturday, March the 14th, 10:30 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. All welcome. Admission free of charge. For further details, phone 01983 752 168 or email info@westwight.org.uk.
This week's In Touch. Gene therapy on the NHS, the RNIB reading service and blind architecture. I'm going to pronounce this in the best way that I can. Voretigene neparvovec is the first in a new generation of gene therapies which can be injected into the eyes of patients, and it's now available on the NHS. It's a major development for people with the inherited retinal disorder Leber's congenital amaurosis, LCA. But as ever, we want to get the real implications for blind people. Fresh from performing one of the newly available procedures, Professor James Bainbridge tells us exactly who it can help. And there are changes ahead for the RNIB reading service as it shifts from the old overdrive system. We talked to Jackie Brown, who's been testing the new system, and the RNIB's Alison Long, who assures us that the changes won't affect those who rely on postal delivery rather than technology. And we catch up on the course Architecture Beyond Sight for blind and visually impaired people. Zoe Partington of Disordinary Architecture tells us more, and artist Faye Kilburn tells us about her experience of studying the built environment and why it can be a difficult place for the partially sighted. The course has inspired us to ask for your suggestions of developments or buildings which are rotten to navigate if you're blind or visually impaired. Send your suggestions to intouch@bbc.co.uk.
The County Press for Friday the 21st of February 2020. Sweetest sound. Violinist played on as her brain tumour was removed. A violinist from the Isle of Wight played her beloved instrument while surgeons removed a tumour from her brain in a UK first. The unusual approach was taken at King's College Hospital in London to ensure areas of her brain responsible for delicate hand movement and coordination, crucial when playing violin, were not inadvertently damaged during the millimetre-precise procedure. Dagmar Turner, 53, a former management consultant, was diagnosed in 2013 with a large grade 2 slow-growing glioma after suffering a seizure during a symphony. The committed violinist, who plays in the Isle of Wight Symphony Orchestra and various choral societies, underwent a biopsy and then radiotherapy to keep the tumour at bay. When it became apparent in autumn 2019 the tumour had grown and become more aggressive, Dagmar, who has a 13-year-old son, was keen for surgery to remove it. Dagmar's tumour was located in the right frontal lobe of her brain, close to an area that controls the fine movement of her left hand. Professor Kiyumars Ashkan, consultant neurosurgeon at King's College Hospital, understood how important playing the violin was for Dagmar, as he shares a passion for music. The neurosurgical team carefully mapped the brain to identify areas active when Dagmar played the violin. They also discussed with Dagmar the idea of waking her mid-procedure so she could play, to ensure the surgeons did not damage any crucial areas of the brain that controlled her hand movements, specifically when playing the instrument. During the operation, Dagmar was brought round from the anaesthetic and played violin while more than 90% of her tumour was removed. As a result, she has retained full function in her left hand. Professor Ashkan said, "King's is one of the largest brain tumour centres in the UK. We often rouse patients to carry out language tests, but this was the first time I've had a patient play an instrument." Dagmar said, "The violin is my passion. I've been playing since I was 10 years old. The thought of losing my ability to play was heartbreaking, but being a musician himself, Professor Ashkan understood my concerns. Thanks to him and the team, I'm hoping to be back with my orchestra very soon." 3 days after the procedure, Dagmar was well enough to go home.
Spectacle in the sky for Mary Ellis Day. 100 vintage aircraft will take to the skies over the Isle of Wight in May to celebrate the life of Second World War pilot Mary Ellis, who died in 2018 at the age of 101. The planes will be taking off in 1-minute intervals surrounding the island, while a trio of her beloved Spitfires, including one that Mary delivered during the war, will also fly overhead. Mary Ellis Day is scheduled for May the 16th and will be centred around Sandown Airport, where Mary once lived. An inspiration and an iconic pilot, Mary worked for the Air Transport Auxiliary, ATA, and during the war delivered more than 1,000 planes, including Spitfires and Wellington bombers, equipped with just a compass, a stopwatch and a map. She delivered the very first Meteor jet, which seconded to the RAF at the end of the war and decided to settle on the Isle of Wight rather than return to Brize Norton. Mary ran the airfield at Sandown Airport, and between 1951 and 1968 she transformed it into a commercial success. She set up a flying school specialising in teaching women to fly and worked hard to meet the standards and safety requirements for aircraft such as DC-3s, Herons, Rapides and Doves to land at the airport. Mary used to visit me once a week for a cup of tea, said organiser and Sandown Airport owner Dan Subhani. She never received an honour, which is quite shocking when you think about what she's done for her country. So we've organised this event in her memory. The ATA is coming to give a talk, and theatre group The Renegade Girls will be doing a reenactment of the lives of many high-profile ladies from the South. We'll also be hosting a charity village, where as many as 50 charities will be raising awareness for their causes. We're planning to have a lot of talks from individuals, historians and people who knew Mary, and we're waiting for confirmation on a Battle of Britain flypast. We plan to make this an annual event. I think it could become a real tourist draw.
Stranded on ferry, but in good hands. More than 100 passengers were treated to overnight hospitality by Red Funnel after their travel plans fell victim to adverse weather conditions on Saturday evening. Storm Dennis ensured seas were too choppy for the car ferry to disembark from Southampton, with passengers taken on board and looked after by Red Funnel staff, in some cases for more than 14 hours. Southampton to East Cowes sailings from 7:30 p.m. onwards were affected, with those on board finally able to begin the journey across the Solent at 9:15 a.m. the following morning. Captains Kevin Moffat and Brett Phillips took the decision to allow passengers to spend the night on the vessel, where they were treated to complimentary food and drinks. Karen Chapman Green, one of the passengers, said, "We arrived at the car ferry terminal around 7 p.m. and were concerned due to how cold it was in the waiting room. The captain made the decision to let everyone on board, which was hugely appreciated as we could get warm and comfortable. They turned the lights down at around 11 p.m. and people were sleeping anywhere they could rest their heads. Every couple of hours, a crew member came round and told us hot drinks were available. At 7 a.m. we were given a free breakfast and more hot drinks. The crew were all amazing. I was with my 81-year-old mum, and the staff went above and beyond to ensure she was comfortable." Fellow passenger Tamara Gaskin said, "I went on at 8 p.m. and was able to get food. Staff put the heating up, the lights down, and nothing was too much trouble. A lady called Claire looked after us all night. She was absolutely great at keeping us updated and checking on everyone while remaining friendly and smiling." A spokesperson for Red Funnel said, "Due to adverse weather conditions caused by Storm Dennis, Red Funnel was forced to suspend vehicle ferry sailings overnight. With the approval of the captain, Red Funnel staff invited passengers waiting at the terminal on board Red Osprey for comfort. Passengers were informed that no sailings would be taking place until Sunday morning and were kept updated throughout the night. Red Funnel provided food and drinks to all of those on board before conditions improved enough for the service to resume at 9:15 a.m. on Sunday. We would like to take this opportunity to thank all our passengers for their patience and our staff for their excellent duty of care.
Flies and urine stench at Chippy. Detail has emerged of the latest inspection at a fish and chip shop fined £4,000 for food hygiene offences. Fat Harry's on High Street, Sandown, has managed to turn around its hygiene rating from a 1 to a 3-star, despite some of the inspector's findings. Flies flew out of a potato peeling machine when the lid was removed, and there was a strong smell of urine, possibly cat, where the potatoes were stored. The Isle of Wight Council took Fat Harry's to court in January following breaches found in a December 2018 inspection. 12 days before the court date, however, environmental officers from the council visited the takeaway and noted a number of improvements needed to be made to achieve compliance with the minimum legal requirements. One of the metal grids, which cooked sausages were in contact with, had a build-up of hardened grease. In another holding cabinet, a wire basket was damaged with missing or broken wires, which was subsequently thrown in the bin during the inspection. A potato rumbler, which quickly peels potatoes, had a build-up of food debris inside the rim and around the hatch edge, while the chute had a dirt around the opening. Workers at Fat Harry's said the rumbler was cleaned daily, but the inspector noted the condition was not consistent with daily cleaning. When the lid was removed, at least 2 flies that looked like mosquitoes flew out. The rumbler was also not connected to the drains due to an ongoing investigation into a drainage problem. A plunger had been used to remove a pile of dirt and residue from a drain behind the potato trough. A shed at the back of the shop was used as a storage area for the potatoes, where inspectors said there was a very strong smell of urine, possibly cat urine, and strongly recommended the shed not be used for food storage. In the preparation room, a tap had come loose, which had an old section of garden hose attached to the end with a rusty metal ring. Inspectors said a general smell of damp and mould was present. 2 months was given to fix a leak in the ceiling above the walk-in chillers. A tray had been placed underneath to catch the leak. In the backyard there was a number of waste items, including open waste bins which had rubbish and stagnant water inside. A bin outside the back gate was very dirty, with liquid and rotten food in the base, which smelt bad when the lid was removed. Following the inspection, the business was rated 3 stars.
Josh, a winner thanks to Little Egret. An amateur photographer scooped a prize in a competition designed to raise awareness of protected winter birds. Josh Thomas from Shanklin was recognised despite stiff competition for his eye-catching snap of a little egret fishing. Bird Aware Solent, a local partnership of conservation groups and Solent councils, created the Great Solent Bird Watch to highlight unique birds such as Brent geese, oystercatcher and dunlin. Josh, 18, said, "I am proud to have won this award. My photo captured a beautiful image of the little white egret at Hersey Nature Reserve as the sun set." Councillor Sean Woodward, chairman of the Partnership for South Hampshire, which oversees Bird Aware, was impressed. He said, Every bird that returns to the Solent has been on an epic journey to get here. Getting photos like these highlights why we are so lucky they choose Solent shores as a sanctuary. We must honour the birds by giving them lots of space to feed and rest. The event boasted an impressive 72 different species of birds.
Dennis was a menace. Storm Dennis caused disruption around the Isle of Wight last weekend. Many of Hover Travel services were cancelled, with Red Funnel's vehicle ferry unable to disembark from Southampton for around 14 hours from Saturday evening through to Sunday morning. Turbulent tides ensured the ride to South Sea hovercraft was only fitfully able to run to timetable. A tree came down in Totland Bay, and a number of areas were flooded, with Westwood Road in Ryde closed so water levels could be brought under control. Other areas hit by Storm Dennis were the grounds of the Isle of Wight Donkey Sanctuary, although the animals remained sheltered and dry, and St Paul's Church in Newport, with sodden land surrounding the building. Josh Thomas and Sienna Anderson braved the conditions to snap action shots from Shanklin and Freshwater, while others contributed photos to the county press's live blog. In addition to travel disturbances to and from the island, residents of Newport suffered power cuts on Sunday, with 9 postcode areas affected between 9 a.m. and 6 p.m. 2 dolphins were washed up dead on island beaches on Saturday and Monday, with the lack of fish available for them in the rough seas likely to be a significant factor.
Storm unearths dino paw print. A dinosaur's footprint has been discovered on an Isle of Wight beach after turbulent weather revealed its location. Shifting sands at Sandown Bay have revealed a 130 million year old dinosaur's footprint, which shows how the creatures used to roam the island. White Coast Fossils, which announced the discovery, said, "All this weather is revealing traces of vanished worlds along our coastline." This is a fascinating example of how events like Storm Ciara exposed traces of ancient environments around our geologically unique coastline. Sandown Bay has revealed this beautiful 130 million year old dinosaur track yesterday, preserved in the brightly coloured clay. The pointed toes may indicate a type of dinosaur known as a large theropod, perhaps Neovenator or the Spinosaurus baryonyx. Our trackmaker was crossing this environment 130 million years ago, heading southwest in what is now Sandown Bay, leaving these huge tracks in the boggy soil. Behind the dinosaur lay a range of low forested hills, while ahead lay a flat floodplain landscape dotted with forests, river channels and herds of herbivorous dinosaurs. Clay footprints such as these can be relatively common, but do not hold up to the forces of erosion for long. Sadly, they will typically disappear in a couple of days or weeks as the tide wears down the soft clays. The discovery comes just a fortnight after a dinosaur tail was temporarily revealed in the cliffs at Bryston.
Isle of Wight to star as Poor Man's Holiday. The Isle of Wight will star in a new television show examining the differences between rich and poor holidays. Channel 5 will feature the island as its poor destination, in an episode of Rich Holiday, Poor Holiday on Sunday at 9 p.m. The show will follow two families across 4 episodes as the Rich family, the Walther family from Bristol, exchange a luxury safari in Zambia for a B&B on the Isle of Wight. A spokesman for Channel 5 said, "How We Holiday highlights the wealth divide like nothing else, and this entertaining and funny new series reveals the home truths about our class system as two families exchange holidays, activities and budgets to find out if money really does buy happiness." In episode 1, the Peters family from Scunthorpe jet off on a luxury safari in Zambia, while the Walther family head to a cheap B&B on the Isle of Wight, where parents Axel and Nicola learn inexpensive holidays have a lot more to offer than they thought, as they enjoy time together as a family.
Engineering careers are not just for men. An apprenticeship with Wight Building Materials has given 23-year-old Izzy Bowles from God's Hill a firm foundation on which to develop a career in engineering. Now she is urging other women to consider careers in the male-dominated world of engineering. The learn while you earn approach of apprenticeships has given Izzy a strong start to her career, with an apprenticeship in business administration leading to a works administrator role with the company. Wight Building Materials has continued to support Izzy by enabling her to study for a foundation science degree in mineral extractives technology through the University of Derby. When I was at school, I never thought I would be working in an environment where a hard hat and orange high-vis trousers were the norm. But the apprenticeship opened my eyes to the opportunities a career in engineering could offer, said Izzy. I had driven past the quarry at Blackwater so many times growing up, but had never realised the scale of the operation there. The apprenticeship gave me the opportunity to learn about the quarry business, from the sales process to the mineral extraction. I was so grateful to Wight Building Materials for giving me the chance to study with the University of Derby, which will give me an internationally recognised academic qualification. Quarrying and engineering may not be a career path associated with women, but there's no reason that should be the case. Steve Burton, Wight Building Materials General Manager, said, "It is really important we support our young people and work with them to develop their careers. Izzy is a great example of someone who has joined us through an apprenticeship, worked hard and shown a willingness to learn." Wight Building Materials is supporting 2 more young people on apprenticeships.
1-star rating shock for Tea Room. A well-known Isle of Wight restaurant and tea room has been given a 1-star hygiene rating. Isle of Wight Council environmental officers found God's Providence House in St Thomas's Square had generally poor standards of hygiene, with peeling paintwork, a mouldy patch on the ceiling and an electric fly killer positioned above the food preparation table. At the time of the inspection, the restaurant had a large build-up of food debris and cutlery on the floor behind the hot holding cabinet in the kitchen, and spilt oil from the fryers along the side of the oven, in the unit beneath and on the floor. Food debris had built up in the seal of the dairy fridge and on the bottom of fridges in general in the kitchen. Flaking paint and crumbling plaster could get in people's food, and exposed parts of the wooden door could trap dirt, hindering effective cleaning, it was reported. The milk dispenser had started to rust and had flaking parts, which was said to be not easy to clean. Robin Crawley, front of house manager, said steps had been taken to fix points made in the report, but there are no problems with the food. He said, "The issues are structural related. The nature of the listed building is hard to contend with. The main issues they had with us was the ceiling, but work has been started to make amends. I won't make excuses for it. We are putting it right. Other issues have been fixed, which include disposing of the milk dispenser."
Stress and fog blamed for Red Funnel crash. A Red Funnel car ferry ran over a yacht because the master got stressed and disorientated during foggy conditions. The Maritime Accident Investigation Branch, MAIB, has completed its report into the incident, which happened at Cowes Harbour on October the 21st, 2018. The report detailed how the master became fixated upon the information displayed on his electronic chart and operating engine controls and ignored information on other electronic equipment, becoming cognitively overloaded due to stress. The report also examined how thick fog and bad conditions proved to make the situation more dangerous. MAIB Chief Inspector of Marine Accidents said, "Our investigation highlighted how quickly restricted visibility can negatively affect individuals' awareness and orientation, which increases their stress and impacts on decision-making. Crews on vessels of any size can be affected, but the consequences can be mitigated by prior preparation and training and effective teamwork. As a result of our investigation, Red Funnel has introduced measures to address many shortcomings identified in the report, but 2 recommendations have been made to the company aimed at further improving their operational practices. It was very fortunate that nobody was on board yacht Greylag when it was struck and overrun by Red Falcon. In this respect, the family on a yacht on a nearby swinging mooring had a lucky escape. When Red Falcon swung around, it narrowly missed Cowes Yacht Haven Marina Wall. Had yachts been rafted there, the consequences could have been much more severe. Our investigation has highlighted that commercial vessels can pose a danger to people sleeping on yachts in some areas of Cowes Harbour, and recommendations have been made to Cowes Harbour Commission and Cowes Yacht Haven.
Have your say on dogs in public spaces. The Isle of Wight Council has launched a survey ahead of a series of proposed orders which could see dogs excluded from some public spaces. Councillors have put their plans out for a public consultation in the form of an online survey, quizzing islanders on their feelings towards having dogs in protected spaces. In the past, dog control orders and designated public place orders have been separate pieces of legislation, but these are now to be combined in the new Public Spaces Protection Orders. The plans won't see any new exclusion zones for dogs placed on beaches after the council dropped earlier plans and 8,000 people signed a petition against it, but they still aim to amend current orders. These amendments could include things such as dog exclusion zones within fenced children's playgrounds, dogs on leads in cemeteries, and dogs on leads on some rights of way. Councillor John Hobart, Cabinet Member for the Environment and Heritage, said, "Most of the council's beaches welcome dogs all year round, and I have no intention of changing that." The way information on the proposed orders was circulated last year caused a lot of concern and emotion within the community. This was a shame because most of what was proposed was simply mitigating the existing orders into new ones. There is not and never has been any proposal to change overall dog controls on the beaches as part of these new orders, and it is disappointing that some people even now are claiming otherwise. Dog owners should be reassured that these proposals are needed to move existing orders to the new legislation, with only proposed changes relating to cemeteries, fenced children's play areas and some rights of way. The intention of dogs on leads in certain areas is about the safety and in the enjoyment of the general public. To ensure areas are safe and clean for everyone to use, we have to be strict about asking dog owners to keep their dogs under control and to pick up after them. Fill out the survey by April the 15th at surveymonkey.co.uk/r/IWPSPO.
Veteran animal doctor calls it a day. A vet who has worked to keep island animals fit and healthy for nearly 3 decades has announced he is retiring. Dr. Ian Green, who's been a mainstay of the Green, Roberts and Butler practice in Carisbrooke Road, Newport for 27 years, but is now retiring from the firm, which has served the island since the 60s. Ian moved to the island in 1985 and became a partner at the practice in 1993 after receiving a PhD in veterinary immunology. He said, "It has been a career and way of life that I feel immensely fortunate to have enjoyed since qualifying almost 38 years ago, 27 of which have involved working at this practice. Needless to say, I will miss it enormously. There are too many moments from my career to pick a favourite, but the main highlight was that in 1985 I met my wife, who was a veterinary nurse at the practice. Now my daughter Jodie has graduated as a vet herself and is studying over on the mainland to take up her own specialisation. I'm in my 60s now and I want to spend more time doing the things I want to do. Over the years, I've treated a massive range of animals, from exotic pets to livestock to wildlife. I just want to say thank you to everyone I've worked with over the years. I would like to say goodbye personally to all of our customers, but there are just too many to fit in. I leave the practice in the very capable hands of our ongoing veterinary surgeons and directors."
Water wasting loos to be demolished. Dilapidated toilets built in the 1950s with urinals that have running water all hours of the day and expensive water bills are set to be demolished and replaced with new purpose-built conveniences. Plans to knock down the Gate Lane public toilets in Freshwater Bay and build new ones have been submitted to the Isle of Wight Council. A group established by Freshwater Parish Council to design the new facilities was set up several months ago. It decided it would be £10,000 cheaper to demolish and start again than to refurbish the existing loos. A design and access statement from the parish council describes the toilets as dilapidated and in a state of repair, but with one unique element. The toilets features urinals with continuous flowing water, giving much higher water bills than other toilets under the parish council's control. An invoice from November 2019 shows water for Gate Lane cost £1,617.96 for 3 months, whereas a bill for Mower Place in October cost £171.82. Heather Rowell, Freshwater Parish Council Clerk, said the council had had a number of complaints about the toilets. She said, "When we took over the toilets from the Isle of Wight Council, we thought there was a leak, but we couldn't find one. The new toilets could be extended to include disabled loos with baby changing facilities and more stalls. Comments on the proposal can be made until February the 28th. And that was Chris
and Brian
reading today's Isle of Wight County Press news.
Welcome to the second part of this morning's County Press, read by Den and
Howard.
And this is Anyone Want a Wheelchair from Bill Moore in Gunville. It has become a cliche to say we have a throwaway society. Certainly the amounts of rubbish going to landfill bear this out. However, I didn't realise how difficult it would be to give something away. After my wife died, I was left with an electric wheelchair which her son had purchased. Soon after her death, I offered it to both a local and a national charity, but this was declined as neither have the ability to carry out a portable appliance test on the wheelchair. I recently contacted other charities on the island to see if they would be interested, but as soon as I said it would probably need new batteries as it no longer takes a full charge, they declined the offer. If you go online, second-hand electric wheelchairs are on the market for anything between £300 and £1,000. New ones are between £1,000 and £5,000. If I can't give this away, I may have to take a fully functioning wheelchair that could transform a disabled person's quality of life to the tip for scrap. If anyone wants it, please email me via editor@iwcp.co.uk.
This from Mrs. P.J. Clark, Walton-on-the-Naze in Essex. Further to Chris Taggart's letter concerning Ryde Pier trams, I would like to mention the Grapes car from a few years ago and preserved at the Street Life Museum in Hull. I understand it worked on Ryde Pier from 1871 to 1932. On talking to the custodian, I told him I was an islander and was allowed to go aboard for a closer look. Finished in teak and mahogany, the details on it is superb, with bunches of grapes carved round the monograph for Ryde Pier Company on each corner, hence its nickname.
Breath of fresh air at St Mary's from Hans Bromwich at Cowes. Last Thursday, I attended the first IWNHS Trust Board meeting for 2020. It was immediately apparent I had walked into a much leaner, slicker operation. Gone were the lengthy patient story introductions, and it was straight into business, with the board assuring it was on top of many of the issues which beset it at the end of last year. 4 stars for catering had been re-established, and most importantly, a 100% success rate was announced when it came to discharging patients from MAU with discharge summaries. Those responsible for onward care should no longer find themselves left in the dark, and hopefully these basic standards will not be allowed to slip. Recruitment still remains a challenge, but I am delighted to say there is a more upbeat energy evident. Gone is the tired old rhetoric of, "It's difficult to recruit talent to the IW," replaced by job adverts which extol the attraction of choosing the IW as a superb work-life balance choice. I recently witnessed firsthand the changes making the whole process of medical care not only more efficient, but also more smoothly integrated. My journey through the stages of referral, assessment, and onto surgical pre-assessment was faultless. Elsewhere, I accompanied a patient on the path from urgent GP referral through A&E and onto a specialist clinic. The whole process was seamless and couldn't have been more caring or professional. We occasionally hear horror stories, but I can only speak as one finds. Fragmentation between departments has been an issue in the past, but I witnessed none of this. Everything progressed seamlessly and efficiently. Yes, I only witnessed a snapshot of a relatively small section within the hospital. And yes, it was super busy, but there was also a professional calm. What I saw was impressive, and if it is being replicated across the whole hospital, then things appear to be, at long last, on the up.
This from Keith Hook in Wootton. I would like to bring to your readers' attention a situation in Isle of Wight planning guidance, namely that planning applications are granted where the land for development in question is adjacent to the development envelope. I fear this practice will give rise to developments of a considerable size well outside the development envelope for a given area. Either the development is inside the area or outside. Who decides what is adjacent and how far away to be considered adjacent?
Well done, crew, from Gay Smith at Newport. I was one of about 100 people who were stranded at Southampton on Saturday when, at the height of Storm Dennis, Red Funnel considered it too unsafe to set sail for the Isle of Wight. Being in that situation could have been an awful experience, but it was far from that. The captain and crew were absolutely magnificent. All the time we were in the waiting room, we were regularly updated, and when it became clear that the earliest the service would recommence would be after daybreak, we were allowed to board the ship to take refuge from the wind and rain. We were warm all night, sustained by free hot drinks, and given a cooked breakfast before we set sail Sunday morning. Everyone, led by Claire, worked tirelessly for our comfort and well-being, which in turn brought out the best in the passengers. We chatted to each other, shared our magazines and papers, guarded left property, and thoroughly enjoyed the companionship. Everyone I spoke to were very thankful and grateful for all that was done to ameliorate the difficulties caused by the weather, and wanted to say a very sincere and hearty thank you to Red Funnel.
This article is by Catherine James and is called Are You Showing These Signs of Aging? And it's from the My View column. There are many indicators of the passage of time among us humans. Men may grow more luxuriant hair on their backs and out of various orifices than on their heads. A woman's narrow waist and broad mind might swap places as the years slowly inflate a slender figure into a Michelin. But no matter what the ravages of time and gravity do to our external structure, our mind can be the first thing that truly shows the signs of aging. Otherwise, how can our MP have so conveniently forgotten about the island deal so many optimists voted for in the recent general election? But what about that other potential sign of age, loss of hope? The switch that flicks a youthful, joyful heart into one blackened with toxicity, the stony, bitter heart inside someone who considers it acceptable to leave snide comments on even the most innocuous county press story. Who could be so broken and twisted that they're happy to post their meanest thoughts on a public forum? Indeed, through my writing for this paper, commenters have made personal and disparaging remarks directed specifically at me. But each miserable, whining troll is cancelled out by the joyous people I meet. This week alone, 3 sprightly fellas each proved that however old their bodies, their minds and souls were full of vitality. I was chatting with a gubber on Thursday. His family hails from West Wight, and he can trace his island ancestors back hundreds of years. He works with his hands, and you might think he was a bit rustic. But no. So anyway, he concluded. The wife starts rummaging in her handbag to answer her phone. I says to her, "What you doing, girl? Why are you answering the call on your phone? Answer it on your watch." I laughed out loud. My friend was as Isle of Wight as they come, calling out his partner for not using her tiny, wearable communication device. Who turned Chael into Star Trek? Earlier that day I chatted with a relative. At 84, he's feeling a bit mortal. "Don't worry," I said. "The Japanese are developing care robots. I'll get you one when the time comes." "Ooh," he said, perking up. "Do they do female ones?" Also, I went to a funeral. As I listened, captivated by eulogies of friends who clearly loved the deceased, I discovered a man with fire in his belly, politically driven, passionate, creative and nurturing. Although in his 80s, he was about to move house and was planning his wedding. The spark he'd had was tangible. I thought about people I know half his age who seem completely defeated and wish they could experience just a bit of this vigour. It's love, not hate, that in the end makes my world go round.
These are sporting achievements. Paul Marshall, a leading Island football coach. Paul has transformed the Isle of Wight community sports into the go-to group to get kids' skills from tots to teens up to the mark. Such was his growing reputation as a sports coach, Real Madrid's youth academy came knocking, having successfully assisted the club's academy team run training camps on the island the last 2 summers. Paul, 40, a pro scout, will also be working for the academy to develop its UK outreach.
Simon Jones, 61, has had an amazing 2019. The Wight triathlete qualified for this year's European and World Championships in both sprint and standard duathlon distances in his age group. The Islanders' highlights were coming 4th in the World Sprint Duathlon Championships in Spain and 2nd in the European Sprint Duathlon in Romania. Simon won the Bedford Sprint and the Standard and the Ashridge Standard.
Daisy Farmer. In 2019, the Conflict Muay Thai fighter became a 2-time WTKA World Champion in Muay Thai and KI kickboxing. That's K1 kickboxing. Daisy, 16, also proudly represented Team GB in Italy at the biggest martial arts event in the world, and over the course of the same weekend she entered the EMC European Y Confederation to make the step up from amateur to pro-amateur and to become a new EMC European winner in both disciplines.
A junior member of the Vectis Equestrian Club, Phoebe Nichols-Taylor, 13, is a dedicated and talented rider across several equestrian disciplines. Phoebe has chalked up many achievements at county and national level, competing against and training with top British riding clubs. Phoebe particularly excelled in various dressage, show jumping and eventing contests last year.
The Isle of Wight shooting team. A haul of 5 gold medals, 4 silver and 4 bronze at the Island Games tells its own story about how good the Isle of Wight target shooting team were in Gibraltar last year. The team, all with the Shanklin Rifle and Pistol Club, returned not only as medal heroes, but also raised the bar by setting 2 new games records. The team included Richard Clifton, Dave Lewis, Nikki Collinson-Phoenix, Dom Cowan, Stacey Payne, Andy Whittall, Perron Phillips, Matt Reed, Ian Grimes, Anthony Elgar, and the Moss family of Toby, Shelley and Imogen. That was Perron Phipps.
Newchurch Primary School continued its domination of Island school sports in 2019. Teams in various age groups won cup competitions and leagues in cricket, netball, tennis, cross-country, football, hockey, athletics and tag rugby.
Ryde Rowing Club, J18 Coxed 4. The Ryde Rowing Club boys under 18 crew had an awesome end to the 2019 season, bouncing back after a disappointing early start to it. The J18 crew of Tom Starkey, Austin Smith, Ben Sanderson and Ty Cameron, with Dan Sanderson coxing, rowed superbly to win the South Coast Rowing Championship under 18 Coxed Fours in Dartmouth in September.
Shanklin Sandown Rowing Club Junior Coxed 4, the talented foursome of George Glenister, Jamie Gamble, Riley Horrocks and Ethan Walters, with Emily Faithfull as cox, not only won the Hampshire and Dorset Junior Fours Championship for Shanklin Sandown Rowing Club, only previously won in 1987, they also won the Men's Junior Fours South Coast Championship, the first time the club had chalked up a men's championship win. The achievement was made all the more remarkable as two of the crew had been away at university, with the crew only meeting up on race days.
Richard Palmer and Jeremy Wight. Sailing in the smallest yacht, the two Cowes sailors made history by winning the epic RORC transatlantic race in December. Richard, who owns the boat, Jan Gander, and Jeremy sailed an astonishing 3,000 nautical miles across the Atlantic Ocean between Lanzarote and Grenada in the Caribbean.
The Lambert family of Cowes is not a traditional sailing family, but things took off when Natasha, born with quadriplegic cerebral palsy, got hooked on sailing at the age of 9. Introduced to sailing at Brading Haven Yacht Club, Natasha has achieved feats most people considered impossible, thanks to the support of parents Gary and Mandy and sister Rachel.
Newport CE Primary School. Newport CE Primary is a progressively sports-loving school with another excellent year of sporting endeavours under their belt. The school, which received its first Gold Games mark in its history last year, took part in 56 sporting events in 2019. Newport represented Team Isle of Wight at the Hampshire Games, winning under-11 Incredible Cricket Gold. They launched the Newport Netball League, the Interfederation Games and the Round the Boundary Fun Run, which featured 500 runners.
Since taking over as first team manager 7 years ago, Steve Rayner has swept the Island Honours Board with Whitecroft and Barton Sports. Steve, 70, quietly led his side in his effective no-nonsense style to the second division title and the Isle of Wight Junior A Cup in his first season, followed by 5 consecutive Division 1 titles, 3 Isle of Wight Memorial Cups, 3 Isle of Wight County Press Challenge Cups, the Isle of Wight Gold Cup, the Jubilee Cup and the Hampshire Intermediate Cup. This season, despite being knocked out of 2 cup competitions, W&B are on course to make it a 6th league crown.
Campbell Laird. Another year of hard work and dedication to running saw Campbell reap rewards in 2019. The Isle of Wight Athletic Club runner continued to show his promise by setting a new bar on the track and during the cross-country season. Nationally, Campbell represents Hants Schools at the English Schools Cross-Country Championships and in the UK Cross-Country Championships. The 15-year-old Islanders' other notable successes included over 3,000 metres, 6th in the Scottish Championships, and a win in the Hants Schools Track and Field Championships.
Competing at the 2019 Island Games in Gibraltar with dedication, skill and strength, the Isle of Wight's judo team surpassed all expectations to return as heroes. The 9-strong team won 3 gold medals and a bronze to round off a memorable Island Games for the Islanders.
Priory School. Girls rugby took off at the school in 2019, with a very high number attracted to the sport in proportion to other secondary schools on the island. Despite the school's lack of playing facilities, girls rugby has developed swiftly, with Priory teams well represented in tournaments in Hampshire and individuals playing for Vectis RFC.
Rory Taylor, exceptional performance and leadership in rugby for school, club, county and the London Irish Academy has earned Rory 15 his nomination for an award. So impressed was Patrick O'Grady, who manages the London Irish Academy, the Ryde School student has flagged up Rory as a potential Gold London Irish Academy member, having played for the club's under-16 Silver Academy, a year up due to his outstanding performances for the under-15s.
Mags Cogger. The popular Ryde Swimming Club volunteer and official regularly coaches swimmers despite her deteriorating disability, which has left her wheelchair-bound. Mags, a busy mum of 2 who also acts as the club secretary and officiates at local galas, is regarded as a tower of strength to the club, particularly through its recent restructuring. Mags is always cheerful and is pivotal with fellow volunteers to the success and morale of the club.
Some entertainment news now. Medina Theatre adds 7 Drunken Nights and Go Now, the music of the Moody Blues, to its entertainment lineup next month. Following sold-out smash hit tours, 7 Drunken Nights, the story of the Dubliners, returns with an even bigger production for 2020. Direct from the West End, the show brings to life the music of Ireland's favourite sons, the Dubliners. The show, which hits Medina Theatre on Wednesday, March the 18th, tells the story of this iconic group's career spanning 50 years. Expect to be singing and clapping along to classics such as The Wild Rover, The Black Velvet Band, The Irish Rover, Molly Malone, Finnegan's Wake, McAlpine's Fusiliers, Raglan Road, and of course the 7 Drunken Nights. Fans of the Moody Blues will appreciate the opportunity to experience their timeless music live in a tribute to one of the greatest rock bands of a generation. Geordie Marshall toured and recorded with the Moody Blues for 25 years. Together with Mick Wilson, lead singer of 10cc for 20 years, they present a supergroup of world-class musicians, singers and songwriters, and meticulously recreate the elegance of a Moody Blues concert. In this show on Friday, March 13th, all the classic hits are celebrated, plus Forever Autumn and a show-stealing rendition of Eve of the War from Jeff Wayne's The War of the Worlds. Tickets are £22 for 7 Drunken Nights and £23, £21 concessions for the Moody Blues tribute.
Triton to mark composer's 90th birthday with concert. Ireland-based choir, the Triton Singers, will be paying a special birthday tribute to a talented composer at their next concert. Betty Rowe of North Kensington, London, will be aged 90 this year, and to mark it, Triton Singers, under the direction of Richard Wilkins, will be performing 3 of her settings of English poems for mixed chorus, which include Go and Catch a Falling Star. To complement the Betty Rowe settings, the choir will also be presenting several English part songs and madrigals, including Leah Garland, composed by Robert Pairsall, Charles Stamford's ethereal The Bluebird, and the joyous My Spirit Sang All Day, penned by Gerald Finzi. The Triton Singers, well known for its sensitivity and depth of tonal variation, will perform music from the 16th to the 20th centuries. The Triton Singers is an island choir established by Brian Northcote at Bembridge School in 1975. For almost 40 years, the choir has continued to sing a wide variety of choral music with a glowing reputation. The concert will take place at Garfield Road Methodist Church, Ryde, on Saturday, February the 29th at 7:30 p.m. For more information and to purchase tickets, go to www.tritonesingers.com or call 567 471.
An Ireland singer has released her first single, having previously taken a sabbatical from the industry. Piece of Gold is the debut track from Bethan John, 25, a graduate of the Newport's Platform 1 Music College. Bethan said, "I've been singing since I was 8 years old and performing at all kinds of shows in the theatre and at festivals, but never finding anything that really felt right or I was truly happy with. Songwriting is something I've always loved doing. It's a dream of mine to release music. I became a little disillusioned at one stage, distancing myself from it, but in 2017 I made the decision to really give things a go, and I'm delighted I did." Working alongside producer and fellow Platform 1 alumni Damon Edward Ellis, the singer regained her confidence. The pair composed and recorded Piece of Gold at his home studio, where they're planning to develop future releases. "We have plans for more singles in 2020, followed by an EP," Bethan added. "There's an album in the works we hope to release later in the year. I'm currently shooting my first music video for Piece of Gold with Love Shack sound, which we hope to make public in the next couple of months." Details of the singer's latest news can be found on the Bethan John music page on Facebook or via www.bethanjohnmusic.com. Piece of Gold is available on all streaming sites and can be purchased on iTunes, Apple Music and Amazon Music.
Festival hits 90 years and still going strong. More than 1,800 entries have been received for this year's Isle of Wight Music, Dance and Drama Festival. The annual festival, which gets underway on Sunday, March the 1st, is into its 90th year. Run over 3 weeks, the programme offers competitors of all ages the chance to receive feedback from expert judges for their public performances. The 2020 festival kicks off with a pop and rock day at Shanklin Theatre. Subsequent music classes, both vocal and instrumental, and speech and drama, takes place over the following 2 weeks, with dance classes running from March the 14th to the 21st. The festival, a registered charity, was established to advance, promote and encourage the study and practice of the arts of music, dancing, elocution, literature and acting. The event, the only one of its kind on the island, will feature 385 classes from 1,804 participants at a range of venues, which includes Shanklin Theatre, St John's Church, Newport, and All Saints Church and Garfield Road Methodist Church Hall in Ryde. Chris Hartley, IWMDDF committee member, said, "We are very excited to be holding our 90th festival, carrying the torch of the competition festival movement, which started more than 100 years ago with participants from all over the world. The movement encourages and nurtures performers in speech, drama, vocal and instrumental music, helping to build confidence through an opportunity for performance within a supportive environment, with constructive feedback from professional accredited adjudicators. The sky is the limit for those with a passion for their discipline. Volunteers are always needed to help at the festival. Anyone interested can contact the team via www.iwmddf.co.uk or on Facebook. Class schedules can be purchased at the County Press, Beardshall in Shanklin and Ryde, Waterstones, Newport, Greenhams and Mellishers, Ryde, Glenmorgan's, Shanklin and Seasons, Ventnor. Send any successes at the IW Music, Dance and Drama Festival to editor@iwcp.co.uk.
Some sports reports now. Ireland skeleton athlete Kim Murray produced her second best World Cup finish of the season in Latvia last Sunday. The 31-year-old former long jumper recorded a top 10 finish in the women's skeleton in Sigulda, thanks to a stunning second run to jump from 17th at the halfway point to 10th at the finish. Kim clocked a combined time of 1 minute 45.37 seconds, with her second run half a second faster than her first in the final World Cup race of the season. Had she gone 200ths of a second quicker overall, she would have climbed another spot in the 26-strong field. On social media, the Islander wrote, "Wrapped up the World Cup with a 10th place. Bonus that it's the European Championships too. A good day at the office." The result was Kim's second best World Cup finish of the year, following her 8th place efforts in Eags, Austria last month, and the third best in her 12 World Cup races to date over the past 2 seasons.
Riders on the Storm. The third round of the IW Motorcycle Club's 2020 Winter Series Trials Championship was made all the trickier than usual as Storm Ciara hit the island. The course on Arraton Down, near Newport, is one of the larger trials venues on the island, which exposed riders to relentless wind and driving rain. While almost all trials events across the country had been cancelled in advance of the arrival of Storm Ciara, the conditions did not deter events organisers or the riders from going ahead with the meeting, which featured 12 challenging sections that incorporated a variety of natural features such as banks, tree roots and logs. Expert rider Jack Ayres completed 2 laps with an impressive 29 marks dropped, the day's lowest score on the A route. As conditions deteriorated, just 2 riders battled it out in the intermittent class, with Sonny Gaskin, 60 marks, the more consistent rider, against Scout Gregory, 72, on the B route. In the over 50 class, Andy Scott Jackson won it with 91, while this year's clubman class continued to be highly competitive as Colin Brodie, 37, challenges Phil Chase, 56, for the championship title. Tristan Osborne rode solo in the adult beginner class on the D route, scoring a creditable 49, while Dan Locke continues to impress in the youth expert class, scoring 83 on the B route. Challenging enough for an adult intermediate rider, let alone a youth competitor. In the sportsman class, John Reid made a welcome appearance and put in a very good ride to finish with the second lowest score of the day, 31 marks. Simon Watmouth crossed the finish line on 53 for second place. The club's next trial will be on Sunday, with the venue yet to be confirmed.
Talented young island swimmer Joe Carter made quite a splash at the Hampshire County Swimming Championships by netting double gold. Joe, 15, became a Hampshire County champion in his age group in the 100 metres freestyle and 50 metres butterfly in front of a good crowd at the Mountbatten Centre in Portsmouth. The teenager, a nominee for an accolade in the 2019 Isle of Wight Sports Achievement Awards, smashed his previous personal best by 1.50 seconds to pick up the gold medal in the 100 metres freestyle, then recorded a season's best in the 50 metres butterfly to claim his second. As an added bonus, Joe also won 2 bronze medals for 50 metres and 100 metres breaststroke events, again chalking up superb personal best times in both. However, the gloss was taken off a little when Joe was forced to pull out of the second day of racing after he sustained neck and shoulder muscle injuries after qualifying for the finals.
Table tennis. Season drawing to an exciting close. With the Island League Division 1 season almost over, Ryde Raiders had a strong win over the siblings of Newport Vix B. The Raiders' Timothy Giles was player of the match, with Newport's Sean and Anna Joyce beating Rob Smith and Martin Johnson, respectively, in their 8-2 defeat. Meanwhile, fellow Newport team Vix A enjoyed victory by the same scoreline over the Haven Street Hooters, with Newport's Dave Hillingham winning all his games and Kevin Gatrill the only player to get on the scoreboard for Haven Street with 2 wins. Division 2 leaders Newport Vix C made short work of the Ryde Raptors in their first season in the league, cruising to a 9-1 result. It remains tight at the top of Division 3, with Ryde Revellers leading by a point over the St Lawrence Lizards, following their thrilling draw against Ryde Rackets, which went on late into the night.
Some local what's on now then. North Wight, Head of International Development for CAFOD, Maria Gonzalez Dean, will speak about addressing social injustice, women's rights and environmental issues at St Thomas of Canterbury Church Hall, Cowes, from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. tomorrow, that's Saturday.
The next meeting of Northwood Floral Art Group is on Monday. The title for the month is Whatever the Weather Design. The meeting begins at 7:30 p.m. and will take place at the Northwood WI Hall. All welcome.
There'll be a reunion of the John Samuel White's ex-employees at the Island Sailing Club on Wednesday, May 13th at noon. Please look for further notice nearer the date to reserve a space.
An art and craft group meets at St Mary's Church, Cowes, on Thursday, 2 till 4 p.m, £1.50 per person. All welcome, with help available to learn crafts including knitting, card making and crochet. For further information, call Heather on 298851.
St Mary's Church in Cowes has a special Pancake Day coffee morning and raffle on Tuesday from 10 a.m. to noon in the parish room.
Short mat bowls will be held at Wootton Bridge Community Centre today, Friday, from 2 p.m. until 5 p.m, and on Tuesday from 10 a.m. till 1 p.m.
Lighthouse Keeper's daughter Terry Darnbrook returns by popular demand for part 2 of a talk about her extraordinary life on Wednesday at the Royal Yacht Squadron Cowes. Organised by Cowes RNLI Guild, The charity event starts at 10:30am. £5 entry includes coffee and a Danish pastry. A bring and buy stall will sell quality unwanted gifts.
Football sessions for 11 to 15-year-olds will be held on Monday at the Queensgate MUGA/AstroTurf, East Cowes, between 6pm and 7pm.
A table tennis afternoon will be held in the parish room at St Mary's Church, Cowes, on Monday 2pm to 4pm, £2 per person.
Whippingham Short Mat Bowls Club plays at Whippingham Village Hall on Monday from 1:45pm to 5pm. New members welcome. Friendly tuition available. For further information, call Carol on 07974 785415.
A free coffee and chat morning will be held on Thursday in the garden room at All Saints Church, Gurnard, 10:30am to noon. Come along on your own or with a friend and enjoy the company of others.
The St Mark's Tuesday discussion group meets at the Wooden Church on Tuesday, 10:30am to noon.
A social group for over 18s meets at Wootton Community Centre on Wednesday, 2pm to 4pm. Organised by Ride Alive, the group offers a way to meet new people, play games or simply enjoy a chat and a drink. Disabled access and facilities available. For more information, call Becky on 824 228.
Sing About, the music therapy group, meets on Thursday at 2pm at St James's Church, East Cowes.
So we'll go back now to news from earlier on. This is about a new barber shop, a cut above on mental health. A barber shop with a difference has opened in Freshwater. One Love, run by Lawrence Foe and Carla Elton, will be involved with the Lions Barber Collective charity, which raises awareness between barbers and their clients to prevent suicide among men. The couple met while working together, and Lawrence explained, "We struggled with mental health problems ourselves and moved to the island from Buckinghamshire in May to leave behind the hustle and bustle on the mainland. I've been a barber for 22 years and worked all over the world teaching people about barbering and working on lots of trade shows. Now we'll hold monthly drop-in sessions called the Lion's Den, which will involve a mental health professional who will talk to men about their problems. A lot of men see it as a stigma and a weakness to ask for help. They end up carrying their problems as a burden on their shoulders. Public Health Isle of Wight is supporting us and we'll have someone there at our sessions. These are non-clinical and non-judgmental evenings, and they're there for people to have a general chat over a cuppa and some cake. We're also part of Barber Talk, which is a training program specialising in suicide prevention and spotting the signs of mental health problems while chatting to clients. When we came over to the island, we chose Freshwater because of the community spirit here, and we want to become part of that community. We'll have full details of our meetings posted on our Facebook page once we're up and running.
Coronapod ready at hospital. A coronavirus assessment centre has been set up in St Mary's Hospital. National guidance has been issued by the NHS to every hospital in the country to set up an assessment service, including an NHS 111 coronavirus pod. The IW NHS Trust has now created such a pod for patients who are concerned they may have the virus and go to the hospital. Official advice for those who have travelled from Wuhan or the Hubei province in the last 14 days is to isolate yourself, avoiding contact with other people as you would the flu. There is also advice to travellers who have returned to the UK from Asia.
Laura Ashley, which has a shop in Newport High Street, is the latest retailer to hit trouble. According to the BBC, the fashion and homeware store is in talks with its lender to try to access enough money to allow it to continue trading. Shares in the store slumped by 41% following the announcement. The retailer said if it couldn't get enough funding, it would need to consider all appropriate options. Sales fell by nearly 11% in the second half of 2019, it said. Chairman Andrew Koo said, "We acknowledge recent trading conditions in line with the overall UK retail market have indeed been challenging." He said there was a robust plan in place to turn the business around.
This is Ryde Teen Drink Initiative Award. Ryde Town Council's Youth Services Network Ryde has won a national award for its work tackling underage drinking. Maya Dixon of Network Ryde and India Dale, one of the young people involved in the project, received the Community Alcohol Partnership (CAP) Innovation Award at the annual CAP celebration at the House of Lords on January the 29th. Elizabeth Furhurst, CAP board member and chief executive of Northern Ambition Academics Trust, said, Ryde CAP works closely with local partners, including local youth service Network Ryde, which successfully gained funding from the Local Alcohol Action Areas programme for an art project to raise awareness about the dangers of alcohol misuse. The young people attended a workshop to learn more about alcohol harm, and then worked with local artists to produce embroidery, creative writing, dance and painting. Feedback showed that taking part in the project enhanced their confidence and self-esteem and increased their awareness of the harm that excessive alcohol use can cause. Ryde Mayor Michael Lilly said, I am delighted to hear this wonderful news about the award. Ryde Town Council is extremely proud of Network Ryde's partnership with Ryde CAP and the pioneering work it is undertaking in Ryde. CAP Chair Derek Lewis said, we have been greatly encouraged to see emerging evidence that CAPs are reducing alcohol consumption by underage children.
A state-of-the-art house with 2 swimming pools and a skywalk through the trees could be built near Quor Abbey, providing the plans are approved by the Isle of Wight Council. The application has been lodged for a plot of land which forms part of the Fleming estate. It sold last year with planning permission for the house with a guide price of nearly £1.3 million. The plans for Quorhurst were first approved 4 years ago. The site has now changed hands and a new application has been lodged with further details of the grand design style house. The 4-storey house, designed by Lincoln Miles Architecture, will have 6 ensuite bedrooms, a gym, indoor and outdoor pool, children's play area, and a 50-metre skywalk through the surrounding trees overlooking the Solent. It also features an orangery, garage, workshop, games room, and guest accommodation. The owner and guests will drive through a converted coach house to reach the main building. Now that's the end of your talking newspaper for today. Goodbye, best wishes from Howard
and Den.
BBC Sounds. Music, radio, podcasts.
Good evening. Tonight, a shake-up in library services at the RNIB. We examine their offer of new ways to access braille and audiobooks. And the chance to make our buildings and their surroundings more blind-friendly.
New Street Station in Birmingham, perfect example. I can see how the architects decided to design it. I can see what's happening. But trying to wayfind from one part to another is virtually impossible as a blind or partially sighted person.
But first, we've been following regularly trials to discover the role gene therapy can play in halting some forms of sight loss and even of restoring some sight. A number of cases have already shown optimistic results. But yesterday, the BBC's health correspondent, Fergus Walsh, reported on the first example of such a procedure taking place on the NHS.
Your chin here. Look straight ahead and look up. Left.
Jake
down,
Turnant, who's 23,
right.
has been slowly losing his sight since childhood, but he's just received a pioneering gene therapy at Moorfields Eye Hospital in London. The injection, made into the back of the eye, contains working copies of a gene, RPE65. This provides instructions to make a protein that is important for vision and for keeping retinal cells healthy. Trials showed the gene therapy improves sight and prevents the condition getting worse. Jake is keen to retain what limited sight he has.
I hope that it can improve my night vision, which will be a major improvement for me in daily life, and maybe possibly day vision as well, which is, incredible.
Jake Turnant. Well, we've always been at pains on this programme to keep a sense of proportion, knowing how much is at stake for people hoping against hope for a successful treatment. So what does this latest development mean and who can benefit from it? Professor James Bainbridge was the ophthalmologist carrying out that operation, and I caught up with him this afternoon when he'd just assisted in the gene therapy procedure at Great Ormond Street Hospital for Children. I asked him if the age of that patient was significant.
Yes, absolutely. So there's every expectation that intervening earlier will provide the greatest benefit, in particular in terms of protecting the sight that children have. It's a remarkable moment, I think, when we are able to provide on the NHS this kind of treatment, gene therapy, which I think is the first of a new generation of treatments for people with sight impairment.
Just explain what the process is that you've been doing in Jake's case.
So the procedure is essentially to provide his eye with healthy copies of the gene that is otherwise lacking. This is done in an operation using keyhole surgery to inject the gene into the retina. And the gene has been packaged using modified viruses in order to deliver the gene effectively and efficiently into the cells that need it.
What exactly is Jake's eye condition?
So he has a very rare condition in which he has failed to inherit a working copy of a gene that is critical for a protein in the eye that's responsible for regeneration of visual pigment. So the aim of the treatment is to provide him with that gene that's lacking in order to provide the protein that's required to make his photoreceptor cells light sensitive again. The excitement is that this is the first approved therapy using gene therapy for a condition that was previously untreatable, and the expectation is that this will be the first of a whole new generation of new treatments that might be applied in the future to people with similar inherited diseases.
And of course, the problem always is with this that people hear a word like retina and they immediately wonder how much it relates to their condition. So, I mean, would this work for other forms of retinal disease? I mean, you know, the one that perhaps people would recognise is retinitis pigmentosa.
So it's very important to be clear that this particular treatment is designed specifically for people with a specific condition called RPE65 related disease, and that is a form of Leber congenital amaurosis, which is a particularly form severe, if you like, of inherited retinal disease. There are many other conditions affecting other genes that cause problems with the retina, including degenerations of one sort or another, and the hope is that in the future a similar kind of approach may be helpful for people affected by those conditions.
Now, other ophthalmologists are working on this, people like Professor Robert McLaren, for example. Can we put a timescale on when gene therapy will be a kind of go-to treatment for some conditions?
Well, I think that the excitement is that today gene therapy is the go-to treatment for this specific condition. And really the question I think you're asking is how soon it can be extended to other conditions. So there are many research groups working in this country and around the world. It's very likely that we'll see more approved treatments coming within the next few years.
Professor James Bainbridge of Moorfields Eye Hospital. Now, the RNIB is giving its online library a makeover. But will it put a stop to the steady flow of complaints from readers that it made managing your borrowing and downloading of books a tricky business? Jackie Brown is an avid reader of audio and braille with good computer skills, but she found the RNIB's Overdrive platform a struggle.
For me personally, it was quite fiddly. There was a lot of clutter on the website and everything wasn't in proper headings or in proper tables. It was just a lot of links close together, and I just found it really quite awkward at times to navigate. I could certainly do it, but it wouldn't be for the faint-hearted, and I did report this at the time, as did other testers, to RNIB.
And you say you've done some testing, so are you in a position to say to what extent they've solved these problems?
I think the website is not bad. I still think there is a little bit to do with the search facility. There are 2 search boxes on there. There is an ordinary simple search and there is a more in-depth search. But it's just a bit more time consuming, and I still think that there are 1 or 2 things they could improve on in terms of the navigation for searching for books. But it's a huge improvement on Overdrive, and I think things will get better once people have had a chance to use it and then feed back to the Reader Services team.
Well, we invited the RNIB's Head of Consumer Services, Alison Long, to listen to Jackie's comments and then explain what the new website is designed to do.
I mean, it's great that she said huge improvement, because that's what we were aiming for, a very, easy to use website that going forward will integrate with lots of different apps and devices, and also to be able to offer other formats like eBraille and EPUB. It's really about, more choice and more books.
But would you accept that it's not the finished article? As she said, it's still a bit clunky.
Absolutely. I mean, I think, you have to start somewhere. If you wait for perfection, you never launch anything. So, we've been working with a large pool of testers, and, we have a list of things that we will address going forwards. But, it is a massive step forward compared to Overdrive.
Now, there are 2 major things that this is designed to do. One is to help people actually choose the books themselves independently, and another option is to be able to download books and play them on the system. Jackie did say that with Overdrive, the sound quality on audio books wasn't always that good. So will that be better under the new system?
Yes, definitely. And that is a resounding success with our testers. We are delivering Daisy Audio.
And we should explain that Daisy allows you to navigate your books, and so that was something which you couldn't do on the old system.
That's right. We had to convert the Daisy file to MP3, so it was a lower quality.
Is there a sense here that maybe you want to move away from sending books back and forth by post? For example, we've had some complaints in the past about delivery times. Is there a sense here that you'd really like to automate the whole process?
No, that's not our intention. I mean, actually 90% of our customers have their books by post on CD and USB. We're not asking them to change. If they want to, that's great, but we will continue to offer both an online and a postal service. We're not stopping anything.
So, for example, if people do find it difficult, and some people do, people would still be able to choose their books and select them just by ringing up, for instance?
Absolutely, yes. One of the advantages of the new platform is that we will be able to offer smart speaker support in the future, and we've started, looking at that, and we do expect that to grow.
We've been concentrating on audiobooks so far, but there is news for Braillists on the new site. What are you doing there?
We're putting our Braille collection online, and we're stripping out some of the formatting so that they're designed to be read more easily with a refreshable Braille display.
I mean, you've got a fairly huge number of Braille books, including a lot of, quite old ones. Are you really saying you're going to make them all accessible by e-methods?
Pretty much all of them, yes. Everything that's in the archive will arrive. We're starting with the literary Braille, and then we will move on to the Braille music.
Alison Long. And if you've had the chance to use the new website already, do tell us what you think. Now, architect doesn't quite come into the category of airline pilot as an unlikely job for a blind person, but it's not difficult to come up with a few potential limitations. But when last year University College London's Bartlett School offered a short course in architecture for visually impaired students, there was no shortage of takers. So much so that they're doing it again this year. So what was the appeal? I've been talking to one of the organisers of the course, but first artist Faye Kilburn told me about her frustrations with the design of buildings and their surroundings.
I have difficulties navigating around glass and perspex. There's an awful lot of that within architecture at the moment, and I can't tell whether they're doors, windows, and I just feel like I'm in a maze a lot of the time. And I also can't tell when you have these gradual steps, you're walking on a flat surface, the next minute it goes into a slope and then into a step.
So you've had a few accidents in your time because of that, have you?
Yes, I have, yes.
Was it the feeling that if only they'd talk to you, you could probably do a better job?
Well, I think if people with disabilities are included designing architecture, it'd be a much more inclusive environment.
So what did you learn on last year's course?
I learnt about materials, I learnt about the actual physical space, how they're designed, what parts of buildings best suited me as a person with multiple disabilities, as far as sound is concerned and light. I learnt how to make 3D objects myself, which I've never been able to do before.
And what did that involve? Just explain a little bit what that meant.
Duncan Merding is a visually impaired craftsman and helped us use the workshops, taught us how to use pillar drills, bandsaws, and enabled us to have the confidence to use the workshop independently.
So this was really very practical, this wasn't just theoretical?
No, this is a hands-on course.
Let me bring in Zoe Partington, who's one of the founders of Disordinary Architecture. Just explain how the course came about.
It started really because I'm visually impaired, partially sighted, and I work a lot in art and architecture and design. And I worked with Dr. Joss Boyce, who works at the Bartlett School of Architecture. And the Dean, Alan Penn, had a trip to Portugal for one of his meetings, and he met a blind architect called Carlos in Portugal, which made him begin to question why there was no blind architects students at the Bartletts and what he could do to try and to change that, and what the value of that would be to have those people, embedded in the school.
A sceptic might say, well, the reason that there aren't any blind architects is because it is a very visual concept. Buildings are things that people look at, that are supposed to grab their attention, inspire them. That is a visual thing, isn't it?
It is, but I think architecture it's a whole combination of things. So it's about the emotional feeling that you have as you move through a space. It's about wayfinding. It's about the clever way that you might map a building so it makes sense to everybody, including blind and partially sighted people. And I think sometimes visual takes over common sense and about putting other elements into a building that would help everybody. And I'm probably biased because I'm partially sighted, because I observe these things quite regularly.
Well, give me an example then. I mean, I know what you mean, but this idea of something because it's visual, what makes it something practical to someone like you?
Well, New Street Station in Birmingham, perfect example. I can see how the architects decided to design it. I can see what's happening, but trying to wayfind from one part to another is virtually impossible as a blind or partially sighted person.
Because
there's nothing that gives you a clue about how to guide to the platforms, to the cafes, to the restaurants, to the toilets. They've used a colour coding system, which again, it's just lost on me, colour coding. I need, tactile things that would make sense, maybe acoustics used in a much more interesting way. There's all sorts of things that they could be developing. And when you actually start talking to architecture students and architects, I mean, they get it straight away, but I think that they're just so used to putting functional access in or just meeting legislation without thinking creatively about what would actually work for everyone.
And Faye, I mean, your experience on the course, as you explained, has sort of started to influence the work that you're doing. How has it changed you?
My work originally was very 2D. I'm a printmaker, and now I'm combining printmaking with the materials within architecture that I find particularly difficult and that cause me barriers like concrete perspex glass. And I'm printing on these and making 3D sculptures and taking ownership of those materials and making inclusive art for people.
So with a course like this, was the idea perhaps to produce people who could advise, consult on architecture, or are you expecting to produce fully working visually impaired architects?
I would want fully visually impaired architects, because I think it was the value of having a blind or partially sighted person working in that sector is just phenomenal, because you wouldn't have to pay for consultants to specially come in and advise who are sighted. You could start to really think about things intrinsically and embed it in everybody's DNA within that building and within that space. This is about making sure that the unique skills that a person with sight loss may have can be shared with everybody as experts and in a unique way, really.
Zoe Partington, and you also heard Faye Kilburn. You can find out more about the course if you're interested with an email to disordinaryarchitecture@gmail.com. And we'd also like to hear from you with your impressions of New Street Station, or indeed any location which ruins your day. As for me, the site I'm on at the moment, Media City, is right up there in my top 5. You can leave us voice messages on 0161 836 1338. Email in touch at bbc.co.uk or go to our website bbc.co.uk/in touch, where you can download tonight's and previous editions of In Touch. From me, Peter Wight, producer Kevin Core and the team. Goodbye.
Scaffolding news for Friday the 21st of February 2020. The list of known footway obstructions for works including scaffolding, hoarding, also details of skips, cranes and cherry pickers. We are unable to include end dates as many are extended on a week-by-week basis. West Wight, scaffolding, Tanners, 10 High Street, Yarmouth. Cherry picker, Afton Road junction with Military Road, Freshwater. Cows and East Cows, scaffolding, Cameos, 16 Bath Road Cows, 116B High Street Cows, 21 York Street Cows, 24 Castle Street East Cows, 128 Park Road Cows, 4A to 4B Clarence Road East Cows.
Ventnor, scaffolding, Highlands, Bellevue Road, Ventnor, Old Town Hall, 1 to 12 Albert Street, Ventnor, Yeoman's Cottage, High Street, God's Hill. Ryde, Seaview and Bembridge. Hoardings, Car Park, Brooks Close, Bembridge. Scaffolding, Flats 31 to 36 Marymead Close, Ryde. 9 Winton Street, Ryde. Coburgs, Union Street, Ryde. 59 Union Street, Ryde. Rockcliffe, Circular Road, Seaview. Skips, Boutique, 20 Cross Street, Ryde. Dover Cottage, Ryde Road, Ryde. 3 Westwood Road, Ryde. Building materials, Dover Cottage, Ryde Road, Ryde.
Newport, scaffolding, Phones for You, 50 High Street, Newport. 146 High Street, Newport. 86A Bernard Shoes, St James Street, Newport. Sandown, scaffolding, 95 to 97 High Street, Sandown. Hoardings, Premier Inn, 1 to 9 Esplanade, Sandown. 89 Downsview Road, Sandown. Crane, Premier Inn, 1 to 9 Esplanade, Sandown.